wrote a few things up on the board, stuff about how to choose a business to go into, passion, problems, viability. So I guess I'll talk about that just to get on camera and do something today. The concept of work and a job, people coming together, creating organizations, having people work for them. I think we're going to have more and more shifts away from that concept. I think even white-collar jobs, we're going to have algorithms and AI that's going to replace that. Maybe not in the next 5 years, but certainly in the next 50. And that begs the question, what are we going to do if the robots take over our jobs? So physically, robots have eliminated lots of jobs. We've already got manufacturing that's done with a tenth of the workforce or something of that on that order. And we're starting to see data analyzed and processed and figured out. There's still coders and programmers and things like that. But even coders, unless they're doing the creative process, eventually we're going to be able to talk to an AI and describe the systems process that we want to manipulate or control or analyze. And the AI is going to know what calls and different things to do to create that. So, where does that leave humans? What is the last bastion where robots and AI aren't able to encroach at this point? And maybe they wouldn't ever be able to. Well, genuine connection and compassion is a realm that is probably going to take a long time before AIs could do something there. Originality, creativity, whether that's art or design or all these different fields, the level that a computer can create something is subject to what a programmer can program it to do. And even if you taught a computer using AI to take some sort of parameters, process them, and then give a new output, it still has to have all the old data to draw upon. And even if it does recombinant forms of old ideas mixed together to create a new idea, I think it's still going to fall short of what a human can do as far as like divine inspiration. Like you just get that bolt from the blue into your head, and there's this thing, and you just create it, just flow it out, whether it's writing or music or art, design, even engineering is a creative endeavor. You have to follow the laws of physics, but you can design things. So anyway, that leads to the things that I have on the board, which is passion. And passion, I heard a definition one time that I really liked, and that's the combination of love and hate. Something that you absolutely love and you completely hate its opposite gives you a very strong feeling, which I would label as passion. If you just love something but you don't really hate its opposite, then it's an interest. You're like, oh man, that is so awesome, I really love that. But when you get that fire and drive and desire, it's usually because you're combining that love with, oh my gosh, and it just isn't right for this other thing to exist. We need to work all we can towards this. I want everything to be this direction. And then if you have like a Venn diagram of circles, you've got your passions, things that you really care about. you might see some of the problems. And whenever you take all the problems and you overlay that, you have an intersection of, problems just where a certain direction or progress has been halted by an equal or greater force that's preventing it from resolving. And there's two ways to solve a problem, but the essence is that you have to take that balance and unbalance it. So if you can weaken or destroy something that opposes the progress that you want to make, or if you can create some sort of a tool that strengthens the drive or strengthens the output of the thing that you want to accomplish, then you take that out of balance and it's no longer a problem. You start getting progress again. And then the third circle on their little Venn diagram would be viability. So there's a financial component to viability, which is pretty simple. It's that the value that you create is less than the cost to create it or produce it. But there's also, like, if you're breeding plants or animals that aren't genetically compatible, they just won't make a viable embryo. In other words, it doesn't exist. Like, it doesn't come into existence. It doesn't live. And under that definition of viability, part of the ability to create something is not just whether it's economically feasible, but also is it logistically feasible. So imagine you're in 1970 something and you get this idea for Uber, and you're like, man, that would be so cool if we had like a device, like all the people had something and they just pressed a button and then like a car showed up and all the payments took place. So that wasn't possible. It wasn't viable to create until we had GPS enabled phones. We had our financial transactions able to take place on the phones. And we had a communication medium that allowed all those things to work wirelessly and interconnectedly through the internet and Wi-Fi and 4G cell towers that are transferring data. So as new technologies exist, the more you're looking at the combinations of those things that are possible, and you're thinking of solutions to problems that never could have existed before, but now they're viable, that's where you have opportunities. You have the ability to create a business that you can model it. You can have like a business model that's based on maybe an older concept, but the solution that you're selling is so original, so capable of changing the landscape of the future. And that is where that's where I see humanity going, is becoming problem solvers. And so that kind of brings me to another point, which is this is kind of the logistical and the creative aspects of creating a business or an invention that you could have someone else produce for you or something like that. But you have another component that's very interesting, and you see it all around you. People complain all the time about problems, and everything's a problem. All these things are wrong. And the people that can't become problem solvers and solution creators and learn to be creative and create are going to get left behind. And so one thing that you can do is start learning how to control your own mind, how to be more creative, how to see the silver lining in problems, see solutions in problems. And maybe even if you can't come up with the exact right invention, or idea that is, blows something out of the water and just totally changes everything, even small changes and changes in perception and ways of looking at the problem can be beneficial. People can communicate that just to their circles of friends. They can use social media, different things, and they can spread viewpoints, ideas, and that's going to be something valuable as well. It already is. So, things like meditation, doing creative exercises every day. If you brainstorm 10 ideas, or you practice, there's some sort of acronym that has to do with recombining different things. You take something and you combine it with this. Different ways of coming up with new ideas that you've never thought of before. Those kinds of exercises, it's actually like a muscle. You go to the gym and you lift and you improve your muscles, but very few people do exercises for their creativity, or do exercises for their problem solving skills, or exercises for silencing your mind and just being. That's the essence of meditation. A lot more people are starting to do meditation, things like that. But I think that there's some key things that if all of humanity started doing them, I think that it would just really accelerate our evolution into the future, and create. Just look at the difference between the way that people lived 100 years ago, 200 years ago, 500 years ago, and the quality of life that's improved, and that's through agency. I talked about that on another video. Agency is deciding what you want to occur and then creating the environment around you. And kind of its opposite is communion, and finding peace and balance with being part of, nature or groups. And it's all about balance. It's all about wholeness, actually, integrity, and taking the whole. So, not just balancing two opposites, but taking a spectrum of things and encompassing all of them. So if you can create a better future with agency, and you can find peace in the present moment through communion, then that makes you more whole. It makes you integral. So that is pretty much everything that I can think of right this second. Those things all tied together pretty well. So hit the like button if you want, the notification bell if you want to be notified next time that I post up one of these videos, and be sure to check out the other videos. I've got a couple posted so far. This is the small beginnings of my YouTube channel. Got one on the history and the future of Bitcoin, and I've got one on the concepts of agency and communion, and the roles that can play in decision making for businesses or in life. Anyway, thanks for watching.